I don't think I've ever had a 4 times founder on the podcast.
Home builders are careless, actually.
So building from scratch, really, it's just a basement that we're literally lifting, digging it out and everything. I have that painful learning curve. I had hair before I started the project.
So it's a structural problem because they make their own most expensive decisions at the point of least information.
A VC I knew in San Francisco used to make a lot of intros for me as a consultant, and he would use one line, "Andrew's seen this movie before."
If a house costs together with the plot, I don't know, $500,000, our statement is they save much more than these 20,000, right?
When you get a no, you go, too bad for you. When you want to get in later, it's going to be more expensive.
I think we are all getting lazy.
Biggest thing I think that separates entrepreneurs from anybody else, well, one is we are unhireable people.
Welcome to the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller, brought to you by GrowthExpertz. You're in store for a chat about funding, marketing, startups, and all things growth.
All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to the Funded Now What podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lee Miller, also known as Andrew Startups. And today I have Marko Hozjan, the founder and CEO of LynxCraft, on the podcast. That just raised $1 million in Slovenia to pioneer how you do your home building with an AI Copilot. Marko, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Andrew, for having me.
Absolutely. We're on the same time zone, which worked out. I don't even think we planned it like this. I was hoping you would be available much earlier, but I mean, it works out. I meant earlier in the morning, but because we're on the same time zone. But anyway, tell us deeper about the product. I love when founders can figure out a one-liner, and I know this is like what, startup number 4 for you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you're not, it's not your first rodeo. So, you have to figure out how to say it really easily. And nobody has done a better job than it's your home building Copilot. But tell us deeper, what is the product and why is it special?
So anyone that's ever done anything, has built anything, built a house or similar, knows how painful it is. So building your own home is the biggest purchase most people will ever make. The other problem is they do it blindly. So then you have the result that you have project overruns and delays and no transparency. And almost every project has like 30% delay, 30% budget overrun. And that's because home builders are careless, actually. So it's a structural problem because they make their most expensive decisions at the point of least information. And that's where LynxCraft is helping them out. So we fix the information problem first. So our AI Copilot reads the official spatial data on the exact plot and tells you in minutes what you can legally build there and how much it will cost, right? And a person can actually create their own concept design online, know everything about the plot, and know exactly how much it's going to cost. And for example, this is the first digital product that we sell for 49 euros. And then our AI Copilot helps you with everything from there on. So at the beginning, the Copilot plays a role of an architect, then a sort of helps you decide which architect to work with and to get the building permit and which contractor to pick. And then it acts as a project manager for you till the end of the project.
Amazing, because like you said, the learning curve of doing this on your own is life-changing. And I bet there's quite a large failure rate on these projects because people go over budget. What first came to mind is a VC used to do, before the pandemic, a VC I knew in San Francisco used to make a lot of intros for me as a consultant. And he would use one line, "Andrew's seen this movie before. You need to talk to Andrew because Andrew's seen this movie before." So essentially, that $49 product that euro, sorry, I'm going to use euro and dollar interchangeably. They're only like 10% different right now. So it's not enough to learn either one. So basically the idea is as a Copilot is it stops you from making first time mistakes essentially. And it brings an expert consultant for 49 euros into the equation.
Exactly. So this is just the beginning so that we get like chipped in, but our lifetime value of a customer is for one project is more than $20,000 because we hold their hand throughout the entire process, and we position ourselves between sort of the investor and the entire ecosystem below it. So all the engineers, architects, and contractors. And we optimize everything so much that we can get our share.
Okay. So 20,000 sounds like a lot. It's not someone doing their own residential home is spending 20,000, or is it?
Yeah, because they save much more. So if a house costs together with the plot, I don't know, 500,000, our statement is they save much more than these 20,000, right?
Mhm.
Because otherwise we wouldn't fit in.
Yeah. What would be the alternative? So I'm switching on my marketing brain. We obviously don't want to say, you can't just tell people what they're saving, by the way. The human brain just doesn't think long term like that. But what it has to be easily compared to the alternative. Is it like a $60,000 consultant, or is it an $80,000 mistake, or like what is what are they
Exactly.
saving from?
So they see the difference immediately in the beginning. So the normal path is that you find an architect, then you find a contractor, and so on and so on. And at the beginning, you see a big difference. Firstly, how fast can you come up to a concept design and to get quotations? So this is a 4-month process. So, for
Mhm.
example, if I want a concept design, first I need all the information from the municipality. So I have administrative costs. I have
Yeah.
to wait. Then I need to find an architect. An architect needs to make a concept design. It will cost money, and it will cost like from 2,000 up to 10,000 euros just to get a concept design. It
Right.
depends what kind of house. And then I need to get quotes from the actual contractors, and that's impossible. To get 3 quotations today, I need to wait a couple of months. And when I get those 3, I can't even compare them. So even in the beginning, there's such a vast difference from the traditional path, or from working with us. All that I've just said now, it's done in 1 minute in Lynx Copilot.
Wow. Even
So
the
you get
comparison of
everything. So the concept design, you know, how much it's going to cost, everything in 1 minute. So, and this is only the beginning of the big difference.
yeah, I mean, time is money as well. So you're paying all these different contractors and stuff. So shortening the 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 horizon to finishing the project is also massive cost savings. And I think people understand that. What kind of projects, like I mentioned single family homes. I think we locked in on that. But does it have to be like certain square footage, or like, who's seeing the real benefit, and who are your early customers? Are they GCs? They're people that are doing multiple projects, or what does
Yeah,
that look
yeah.
like?
So our ICP is someone that wants to build a house, a single family home, but we're doing everything, duplex houses, different kind of projects, because in practice it's different. So we started with this ICP that it's like a family that wants to build a home for themselves, but about more than 50% of our customers today are actually developers.
I
But not
figured.
big developers. When you say a developer, you think of a big company that has everything, but small developers, like an entrepreneur just making an exit and say, now I'm going to become a small developer, buy some properties, build some houses, sell them, and so on. So,
Nice.
especially people that don't have the knowledge, because what do we don't only bring the digitalization part, but we bring the power of the big developer. Just to explain, a big developer has all the knowledge, so has all the engineers employed,
Yeah,
and has
team.
power over his supply chain partners because he brings them business regularly. But one-time investor doesn't have that. He doesn't have any power over his supply chain, and all the costs are variable costs. But when we step in, we step as a big purchaser, because when he goes through us, he has the power of 50 different projects. You know,
Got
when
it.
he comes through us, through an architect, or through a contractor, they immediately respond. They give him better prices because they are sort of, it's a
Working with you.
repetitive business for them. You know, so we bring the power of the big developers to a one-time developer.
That's a beautiful line, by the way. That's some marketing gold right there. But now I understand where the total lifetime value of the customer comes from. So you're actually helping them source materials and different vendors for each aspect of the project with long-term relationships between LynxCraft and those vendors. So if Andrew, by the way, I am that small developer you talked about. I did a building in Mexico and I took the profits from that to buy property in California. And like I mentioned before we started recording, I'm doing a small um, 2-bedroom unit right now that I'm building from scratch. Really, it's just a basement that we're literally lifting, we're digging it out and everything. I have that painful learning curve. I had hair before I started the project. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but luckily for me, one of my good friends, shout out to Bennett, who loves my podcast and is going to be listening. Uh, he's an expert in the space, and I help him with his startup and marketing, and he helps me on the real estate side. Nobody has access to experts like that. But so I see the ability, he is able to get those deals because he has 20-year relationships with all of those people. So you basically plug in as it's software plus marketplace, like, or even plus, I guess the white glove aspect to it. So is that done by humans on your team, or is that all done by AI as well?
For now, it's done by humans. It's a human in the loop process.
Yeah, good.
It's going to stay probably human in the loop long term, but our AI agent is getting superpowers. Just to give you an example, we have a legacy project that we just finished. It's a hotel that we brought from start to finish here in Slovenia, a 4-story hotel.
Wow.
Smaller one. The past 6 months, the construction was ran by an AI agent. The agent was sending text messages to everyone on the field each morning what needs to be done, and was sending messages to our actual human project manager. What are the risks? What's happening? So we sort of proved the concept there. And this is when I'm explaining, I only explained the first part, but the project management part, that the agentic part later on, is going to be even more valuable, because when you're an investor, you're not in the loop, but now you're going to be. And what's even more interesting is that when we talk about this agent, our supply chain partners are even more interested than the actual investors. They say, we want it also, right? We want to be informed. We want to know. We want a single point of truth. And the agentic part is super cool, because you have such fragmented data, so many different sources, so many different variables. So that's why the agentic plus LLM mode is perfect for this.
I guess, like, for the suppliers, they want to know if the materials are running low. Do they need to order more? Have they even installed the flooring yet, or whatever? And that helps them not have to waste precious dollars and time on sales and follow-ups. Like, hey, agent, notify me when this gets done so that we can follow up with the client. Or is that kind of what it looks like
for them? To give
you
you a practical example, if a plumber is 1 week late, then the entire project won't be late for 1 week, but will be late for 1 month, because then you have consequential things happening.
Ripples,
everything. So you have the domino effect. And that's when this happens, then the AI can anticipate that, right?
Interesting. And then notify the right people. Hey, this plumber was late, so don't let this happen because we can't.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get it. People will spend 10x more than 20,000 to not let that happen. I mean, like, I know from just watching my friends' projects that, like you said, I think Bennett, who's my expert friend, always told me add 30% for time and 30% budget, and that's just par for the course. And so what you're saying is, I love unique applications like that for AI. When you have so many, I mean, you mentioned the fragmented data, but just so many different teams and people being involved. And actually, funny enough, in America, they're even speaking different languages, which I don't know if it's the same in Slovenia, but I saw a hilarious video of a 11-year-old girl doing bilingual translations for her dad because she does Spanish lessons in school. So she's talking with the Mexican contractors and then translating it to her dad right there. And so instead, it was like, the video was like, instead of summer school, she's a bilingual translator for contractors for the summer.
With
Anyway,
LLMs, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
if
matter.
You have minutes from the meeting or something, they can be in any language.
That's amazing. No, I think so. Do you have that as a separate product? So you mentioned the $49 like wedge or entry level. I think the agentic project manager that speaks everybody's language and knows everything that's going on and is the source of truth is a whole separate project, or that product, I mean?
Oh, for now, we don't charge that. So before I said, when I mentioned $20,000, we don't take, almost 99% is
Not from the
not taken
client.
from the investor.
It's from the
It's taken
vendors.
from the supply chain
Yeah,
partners
yeah,
because
yeah,
we're
of
doing
course.
business, right?
Of
So
course.
the investor doesn't pay anything there. So the
Yeah, that
investor
is very
I
important.
want to have a house. I want to know how much it's going to cost. I want to confirm that, and that's it. And I don't want any surprises. That's the most important thing for the investor. Okay, I
Interesting.
accept this price, but this price needs to stay, because in practice it doesn't, right? It always gets higher.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I mean, product sounds amazing. I'm super interested to see if I can even use it myself, but you raised $1 million. D- How hard was it? I don't think I've ever had a 4 times founder on the podcast, so I'm guessing it was just because of your previous successes that you were able to raise. But what was that process like for you? It's funded now, what? So I should at least ask one question about the fundraising.
Yeah, it was super difficult, actually.
Really?
So of course it helped. The entire team is super amazing, I have to say. So I have the best team in the world, but still it wasn't enough, because everyone, when we met them, said, "Wow, this is amazing what you're doing, but we don't believe you. We don't believe you can push it through. It's too ambitious. It's too broad. No one has done it before. It's impossible." So it was super difficult. So first we got an angel investor. Actually, there were 3 small rounds, but actually we didn't, almost like 90% of the funds we didn't get through VCs, but we got them through people within, or companies within the market.
Hmm.
So people that understand the pain. For VCs, we were too complex. When we mentioned construction, they're like, "Oof, construction." When we mentioned the connection with the real world and hardware and stuff, they said, "Oh, no, no, no. This is too complex for us. You're too
Yeah.
risky." So yeah.
That's good feedback, actually. Not enough people say that, like, or talk about that. Like, you don't have to go to tech VCs to get the money. You should look at your niche, whether you're a hospital tech or biotech or prop tech. I mean, I would call this prop tech,
Yeah, we're
obviously.
sort of in the prop tech field. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an AI prop tech platform. And the people who, first of all, in real estate, people have tons of money, and they
Yeah.
want to, probably want to get into AI, but they also get to use the tool and be a part of innovating in the space. And like you said, they feel the pain point enough to know, oh, like they just understand it and get it. So that's where you ended up going. Were the companies, I mean, is all Slovenian investors or?
Yeah. So mostly Slovenian and one UK. But
Nice.
in the future, I guess, now that we've went so far, now that we have traction, now that we have revenue, I believe the next round will be VC led. But
Of course.
it's too bad for them, actually, because they
Now
could
it's
have.
more expensive.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the best answer to any founder listening to this. Like, when you get a no, you go, too bad for you. When you want to get in later, it's going to be more expensive. So that's who was it? There's a podcast called Diary of a CEO. I don't listen to it, but I had a girlfriend that listened to it in the past. And I heard the guy say, as a VC himself, he looks for companies that don't need him to invest.
Yeah.
The less desperate you are, the more they want you and the more desperate you seem. And so if you get a no, okay, well, you're going to want to come back after we get, like you said, you get the traction. So I don't know if I mentioned it, it was $1 million pre-seed. So you get the money in the door and then you start to get some traction. And the seed round is a whole different thing, because once you prove the concept works, it doesn't matter how complex it is to the VCs anymore, because it just makes financial sense. And the things that VCs are looking for at every phase are changing because of AI and because of the competition. But in the real estate space and in the developer space, there's not many people making innovative
Yeah.
companies. I can't think of the name of the company off the top of my head, but I had a company that has a similar pitch. Um, I can't think of the name of it, but there was an earlier guest on the show that has a AI tool platform for construction, but I don't think they do the vendor stuff. It's a company, the founders are from China. So they're based in San Francisco, but the founders are from China. So they have the connection to getting things made in China. So they have like some of that. But what they don't do is the co-pilot that guides you through the
Yeah.
whole thing, I
The,
think.
the vast majority of startups within the prop tech sector or are solutions for the actual vendors or for the supply chain?
Yeah.
This was interesting for us. And we said we're going to go the other way. Our ICP is going to be the investor, and we're going to focus on the investor and
I
solve
think
their
that's the
problem.
right choice because what I notice as an investor myself, I mean, I'm a little baby, tiny, I can't even make it small enough in my fingers, investor, but they're a lot less emotional. It's just if it makes sense and it's going to save me time, it doesn't even have to save money. If it saves a ton of time, that's worth more than money to an investor because I put my money in. I want to be able to get my money out faster. That I can put it in another vehicle, which actually makes me more money because it's not sitting idle in one project at a time. And as you know, the longer the project goes, the higher the chance of failure. So if you just finish and get some money and move on, okay, I got another successful project under. So I think that, I guess that's kind of an interesting marketing dilemma, which I've seen before in similar companies. Do we talk more about the cost savings or do we talk more about the time savings? With your users, what has been more of a
Yeah,
value add?
it's a good question. So I would say primarily we're talking about time savings, but sort of because I think we're doing both. This is important. Not only time savings, but actual cost savings. Cost savings because the investor makes better decisions at the beginning, but time savings is actually cost savings.
Exactly.
Just to think about, for example, for a developer, each month of financing a project can cost up to a few
Percentage point, yeah.
10,000 or
Yeah,
a few 10. So it can cost a lot of money only for the interest for the bank. So
exactly.
in this case, time is money.
Of course. No doubt. Absolutely. And it's the opportunity cost of missing the next investment while the project hasn't finished as well. So there's a lot of intangibles there. Okay. So let's talk value for you. You came on the podcast, you're making time at the end of your day. I'm really grateful. What it has been the main marketing strategies or acquisition channels that you're using to get customers right now?
Yeah, this was quite a rodeo as well because we had a big problem. So we needed to identify someone that has an incentive to build. And that is very difficult to find. How can you find someone that has an incentive to build? So
Yeah.
there's not people like groups. I have an
Yeah.
incentive to build on Facebook, right?
Right.
So then we found that people that have an incentive to build start to search for some things. So, for example, start to search for an architect or a building permit or information about a plot and so on. And one of the good things that we've done, actually very, very good return, is automated, not automated. So in each country that we're present now, we built, for example, 100 web pages for each municipality.
Wow.
And these web pages uh, educate people on these topics, right? So, for example, if you people search for a local architect or for a local um, information about how to obtain a building permit or get some information about a plot or similar. When they search for a municipality and similar things, similar keywords, they get us. And so immediately we were ranked very high on Google,
Nice.
and we could generate these, for example, 100 websites for the cost of $500.
Yeah.
So it's the era of AI. So we could do it very, very simply.
This is music to my ears. This is what we call a satellite SEO strategy. That's the actual name of it. I haven't heard anybody doing that in a long time, so basically you did municipality keyword dense URLs so that when someone searches for how to do X in
Yeah.
Y, they find
Building
that page.
permit municipality or
Yeah.
architect municipality or whatever.
Love
So
it.
this was one of the hacks. The
That
the
is a
second
hack.
was that we actually found a way to get information who bought a buildable land. So when a person buys a buildable land, there's a very high chance you didn't just buy it just to have it. You bought it, so you're gonna build on it.
Right.
And then we found a way to outreach them. So these were some
That is
best hacks that we
amazing.
found.
No, nobody has ever come on the podcast and taught me a growth hack. So you're the first person out of 55 episodes that's a good one. And, unique data in the real estate space is hard to come by, but when you get it and you can find the right time. So that's really cool. Have you done any PR yet? I think,
No, almost none. So we got a couple of, let's say, we
articles.
won a couple of prizes in the UK. Like we won an award in the prop tech and one in Romania on a startup event called How to Web and some in Slovenia.
Nice.
So that was some PR, but otherwise, no, we haven't done any.
Yeah, those
Just
are great. Those are great for the startup community and for funding rounds and investing. And that's obviously how myself and Irfana on my team found you. But that stuff doesn't add any value for the ICP. So I
exactly.
definitely think it's time to really focus on PR for the real estate and investor space because everybody's searching for ways to make their business more efficient. And there are other companies that are not as robust as you that are making a lot of noise. So you have to get out there like soon. Like the time is really now. A lot of people think there's going to be a bubble burst with AI. And I mean, gosh, I can throw a rock in San Francisco and hit like 10 AI companies. And so not all of them can succeed. So
Mhm.
you want to make as much noise right now as possible. I keep hearing the term distribution as differentiation, meaning like your marketing is the most important thing at the point that you're at really right now, which turns out I was working on the right thing for 20 years because now everybody's knocking our door down. So from a PR perspective, I'm just going to preach for a couple of minutes and tell you what you need to do. Do you have a team to do this yourself?
Yeah,
Okay, great. So, what's the name of the person that would be leading your PR in your company?
he's the best name in the world, Rock.
Rock?
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's a Slovenian name, but eh,
Okay, how does he spell
Rock.
that? That's cool.
Yeah,
ROK?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay, got it. Okay, so Rock, first of all, now I don't need to preach or teach founders how to write a press release. You need to give ChatGPT or Claude or whatever a ton of data to ingest, like case studies, statistics about the problem, like the average project's going over this much, it's costing this much. You give it a ton of stuff and you just go, make me a press release that's going to uh, that's going to make a property and real estate investing related publication interested to uh, write about us. That's how good the prompt needs to be. I always talk about my intent when I'm prompting AI so that I get a better result than 99% of people. I think I've never shared that secret. I only do voice prompts so that I can go really, really detailed on exactly what I want. Uh, and
good
so
hack.
yeah. I mean, people will listen to me like, why did you give it all those details? I'm like, because I know I'm going to get a better result than anybody else
Exactly.
that's just like, make me a press release about this
People are
company.
much too concise when prompting.
Yeah, you have to go overboard because then you get so much better result. And if you give a lazy prompt, you get a lazy output. It's just like anything else pre AI.
Yeah.
You do things the easy way, you don't get shit. So I mean, I personally have agent building companies begging me to give proprietary data so they can build the marketing copilot for companies, which just pushing them away for now because I want to, keep my proprietary stuff for myself. But my point is, you want to be really detailed on that. Anyway, so let's imagine we have a press release. Then for the outreach, I'm not using AI. I actually want Rock to go to Google News and search prop tech startup, real estate investor news. You find all of the places by country or by municipality. Of course, you can do it with an agent as well. Monitor these news, write down. But the more manual we do it, the better the output because he can actually think a little bit better still than AI. Like, this is actually not a good publication. Let's not even waste our time. But essentially, you go to Google News, you click on any amount of articles, open a bunch of tabs of anybody that's writing something related to real estate startups, prop tech, real estate investing, real estate investor news. And 75 to 90% of those articles have a clickable name of the author on it, which usually opens up another page that has their Twitter. I don't call it X, their Twitter and their email address. And if it doesn't, it has their full name, which then you can Google and find their LinkedIn. It's literally that easy. So Rock can do that. You spend 20 minutes a day doing that every day. And while we're developing a product or we're getting 30 days out ready to launch, lo and behold, 30 days in, or again, of course, you can do it with agents. I've tested it. Again, like I said, the quality seems to be better having a human do it, and it's quality over quantity. We're not going to email 10,000 people. We want to email the right publications with the right message. Anyway, I like to pause at 500 contacts. So let's get 500 contacts. Let's, instead of blasting, we segment the top 10 most high value. If we get in these publications, we are absolutely golden. We don't need to, and this is all free. It's time investment. Obviously, you can use AI to do the outreach as well. The, the most significant piece of value I can create there is you don't let AI write the outreach message. It's a one-liner message. Hey, I saw you write about prop tech and real estate investing. I got this cool company that's just raised millions of dollars to do XYZ. Would you want to see the press release? So
Yeah.
that's all I give them is a short one-liner, because what I find is if you send, we all get excited and we want to say everything in one email,
Yeah.
but I don't have my phone on me. But people open it, and if it's multiple scrolls, our eyes glaze
Yeah,
over.
they delete it.
We just say, oh, I'll look at it on desktop, and we never get to it. Whereas if it's one liner, even while I'm on the toilet going to the bathroom, or I'm on the train and anywhere on a flight, I can quickly understand the value for me and go, yeah, I want that, or no, I don't. So it's not even a big effort and time investment for Rock, and he should be able to get you interviews that are much more targeted than this. I'm still going to look and see what I can do from my network, because I think it's a cool company, and I want to talk to you offline and see if I can use it on my project. I just got those permits, by the way, after a year. So I went through all of that. I even hired a permit consultant who doesn't listen to my podcast, but he'll listen maybe this episode because it's related. Hey, Div, thanks for all your help this last year. So I had to hire a permit consultant, and then it still even took a year just on the permitting, but we got the permits, and now comes the really tough learning curve, because they're not, the permit guy's no longer involved, and now I got to do the stuff myself. Anyway, so
Yeah.
that PR is really valuable for many reasons. One, when you do outreach, or even if you use those time signals and the interesting data that you have, you want people to have heard of you. And beyond that, what I find with any kind of B2B outreach to anyone spending money, everybody asks AI now about you. I even did that for you before I interviewed you today. And because you're so public and you have so many previous businesses, there was a whole dossier, which usually there's not. I also asked it how to pronounce your name as well. It was not right, actually.
Yeah.
So
Good point, Andrew, because I think we are all getting lazy, and everyone would think of this process of everything we'll do. Yeah, we'll do everything. Yeah, we'll scrape the data. We'll get me the emails. We'll write me the emails.
yeah,
And then they're disappointed because
it
those
didn't
kind
work.
of campaigns just aren't successful.
That's
So
totally right. I mean, that's why I have a career. Actually, my marketing consultancy is doing better than it's ever done, because I just didn't think about revenue. I just stuck with what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about early stage startup growth. Well, if you stick with something for 20 years, you might be even better than what's publicly available, the data that AI is trained on. So I actually have lots of unique strategies now that AI doesn't know. And you're right, like especially younger, like under 25 founders are trying to build agents to do everything. No, Andrew, I don't need your help with outreach. We've built agents. Okay, come back to me in a month. Hey, we tested this. We got 0 responses. It didn't work. Can you come in for a few hours and tell us how? And like you said with the VCs, I'm like, sure, but now it's more expensive. And so,
exactly.
and they pay for, because then they go off and do it the right way. So I give all that feedback here for free. And so, anyway, so you do that outreach, you get the real reason that you do all that PR is, one, it does drive inbound, but the second reason is when you're doing the outbound, they go to AI, they go to Google, and they see all these qualifying. Oh, it looks like Forbes said this and that about the company, or it looks like proptechslovenia.com said that this is the best technology, and
You
they
gain
go, oh
trust.
shit, I have to use that. So that's one thing. Okay, second thing, nobody else is doing this. We got invited because GrowthExpertz has been around for over 10 years by OpenAI to be one of the first companies to test ChatGPT ads, and we started doing so this week. And it'll open up to everyone, and I'm sure you could send them an email as a startup that has PR on the internet and maybe get it. But you mentioned that it's hard to target people at the right time, and ChatGPT ads are insane. So they have contextual targeting. What that means is And I don't know, maybe there's 1,000 companies that have access. So I'm definitely the first person openly talking about this on a podcast, because I've seen 3 people talk about it on LinkedIn this week, like it's
Um,
the gold falling from the sky. But and we just turned our ads on, so I can't tell you if it works or not. But contextual targeting is based on anything they've ever spoke to ChatGPT about.
mm,
So if you tell ChatGPT about, I don't know, sexually transmitted diseases that you have, there's going to be a medication that can run ads there, because of course your data is not private at all. And they're going to share that with advertisers. I don't know why
it's much better
that,
than Google
yeah, much
because
better than Google.
it knows more. It has more context.
Exactly. I don't know why I used the STD thing as an example. I've been every every time I've been giving examples to people, it's been like not very PC, politically correct examples, because I think about what is the most possible private thing that someone's sharing. But for you, it could be obviously anyone who's a first time real estate investor developer is going to be using AI to try and shorten that learning curve.
Yeah.
And the ads, you have a limited character limit. I can't think of it. It's like 50, 80, 120. You get 3 lines, you get an image on there, just like anything else. But what I don't think any other advertiser has figured out is, because even the ads are quite basic that were suggested by Chat GPT. But what we did was, obviously we're testing it for GrowthExpertz. I know that founders, you can just give it bullet points. So I want a founder who's raised money, who doesn't have a marketing team yet, is maybe they have a junior marketing team, they need senior leadership, and they're starting to ask about hiring a full-time marketer. And then the ad is, don't hire a full-time marketer, first work with a consultant, and that's literally it. And I expect to get pretty serious conversions from that. And so I'm not sure when that'll open up, but I think it would be really valuable for you, because you can give it all the data you have on your ICPs. Like, what are
Definitely.
the congruencies between all of these people that actually converted and started working with us? Give it those bullet points, and then it goes out and finds your ICP on 3 years worth of conversations people are going to have.
No, Andrew,
Anybody,
this is great. This is great, especially for the decisions that are blurred, that are not so. So I need a vacuum cleaner. Okay, no, but
right?
as I said before, how do you find out if someone has an incentive to build? So I want to have a house. I'm probably gonna, I don't know, buy a plot of land in 2 years and so on. I'm thinking, and immediately we can identify that kind of person.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to be really specific. Again, I haven't seen how accurate it's going to be, because it's still in getting confirmed, the ad stuff. But yeah, so I think that's really exciting, because it has been hard. The other thing is obviously Google search. So I don't know exactly what it is, but there's specific. So with Google search, you can put brackets around it and makes it called an exact phrase. So that
Mhm.
means they have to search this exact thing. And so that could be, you know, I don't know, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but like vendors for, let's use the hotel example. Um, Proper construction services for hotel, or something like that. Like anybody that is building a hotel or developing a hotel, you should probably have a conversation with, because if you already have a really solid case study there. I mean, I have had maybe 2 or 3 clients in 10 years that have sold to hotels, and it's fun to sell to hotels, because when they pay, they pay. And
Mm,
when they work with you, they stay working with you, and they continue to expand and do multiple hotels. So you get one for them in Slovenia, then there's one in the UK, and then they expand and build. So the client lifetime value is higher for a hotel probably than any other kind of investor, because I mean they're doing more development than anybody. So just Google search is often the first place I tell people to spend money. If you do exact search, not just like the word hotel, and it just
yeah.
wastes money, it can be very profitable. I was first in the real estate space from a Google Ads perspective in Dubai, and aging myself, 2008, and I ran Google search ads for a real estate developer out there. And I should have charged commission, because we tracked I think it was 180 million euro building sale to a $1 or maybe a $10 click. So one person clicked
Huge.
on an ad, buy this building, and then ended up buying the freaking building. And so if you have the I did not charge commission. I've met other marketers that do that in Los Angeles though. They'll run the search ads themselves with their own budget, split the commission with a realtor, or the
Yeah,
realtor will pay a marketer to run the ads on the house.
because they know
100,000.
it's going to sell, so they're willing to take
If
the
you
risk.
spend a lot, yeah, this particular person on my mind, it wasn't Google, actually, it was Facebook ads. So the agent gets like the only 20 million euro house in Los Angeles, they get like a $3 or $6 million commission or something. So they spend $200,000 on Facebook ads with drone and everything. But that's like the smallest percentage. I mean, anything in life, you have to take risk. I mean, you're a multiple time founder. The biggest thing I think that separates entrepreneurs from anybody else, well, one is we are unhireable people. We will not work. You can't listen. You can't be told what to do. There's a skill and a problem there. But the other is the trust in yourself and ability to take a risk when other people see negative. I can't do this. I can't do that. You're like, I see potential. I saw the Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA. He was like, people ask me, was I nervous? Was I scared it wouldn't work? And he's like, I never thought it wouldn't work ever, through like
Mm.
30 years of it not working. Like it's just, that's just doesn't come to the mind there. So I
You
think,
know how I see it? I
how
see
do you see it?
entrepreneurship in terms of the concept of masculine energy. So today everyone is a bit soft, right? So we're talking about feminization of men. But when
Okay.
talking about masculine energy, you have two most extreme ways how to be masculine. One would be go to war, but the second, who likes war? And let's keep that topic aside. But the second actually is entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is in its foundation, it's cruel, it's savage actually, right? So for
Yeah.
me, my first 10 years of entrepreneurship, I was broke. I had to compete with everyone.
Mm.
So it's super
It's
tough.
war. It is war.
Yeah, it is
It's
war.
war because it's survival of the fittest. It's kill or be killed. And yeah, funny you mentioned, like, I find a difference though in Silicon Valley. It's People are not at war. I mean, there are some competitive things. For instance, right now there's so many companies trying to build AI for scam protection, because now that we have deep fakes and we
Yeah, yeah.
have phone and voice cloning, the elderly segment, at least in the United States, well, in Europe too. I mean, the
It's the same.
Spain just got the highest life expectancy. People are living over 100 all over the place in Europe because everyone walks and there's way less GMO food and stuff. I mean, even me, I'm eating bread in Italy right now with no issues. And in the States,
Good bread.
you can't eat anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we know that this population is growing and that the technology is growing. So there's like, I did like a workshop recently, and there was 3 scam AI tech companies out of 35 startups in the room, and so that's really competitive. But I asked one of those founders, we had a follow-up call. I'll go ahead and shout him out. It's Neo from Scam.ai. And I was like, are you worried about this competition? And he was like, our only competition is the scammers. We love all of the other companies that are trying to fight the same fight. They don't see it as competition. So I don't think people in SF are that masculine in that regard. Like, I always notice a big difference too in San Francisco is people are really focused on giving and creating value more than anything else. But I hear you. I think um, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, and I know plenty of female founders that struggle with like personal life, actually, because they have to be so masculine in the job to deal with disgusting sometimes venture capitalists that try to sexualize them. And even though they're a legitimate founder, that happened in San Francisco a few years ago. A female founder, wrote an article about a VC that asked her to come over and pitch at like 11 o'clock at night. That would never happen to a guy. Yeah, come over to my personal house and pitch me at 11 o'clock at night. Like, go fuck yourself. So I agree with you that it's tough there, tough balance, and that's an interesting way to think about it. So what makes you such a powerful warrior then?
I don't know. There was a question I asked myself. So where does the motivation come from, right? So when I read a couple of books in psychology, like everyone,
Yeah.
I guess it comes from pain.
Yeah.
I don't know. It comes from some unsatisfied need to do something great.
There you go. Yeah. Well, I think I agree with all of that. Not to keep quoting like really famous people or whatever, but the Chamath, who was the first marketing hire at Facebook, he's now famous for like illegitimate investing stuff that he did during the pandemic in the US to make more billions of dollars. But he said recently and I've seen other VCs that have been in the room where they've started asking questions about this since then. Um, he said, you want to look for a founder that's had a really difficult upbringing because they're going to be way more resilient. If you are a founder who comes, that's why you see a lot of kids who are born into money that don't really amount to anything because life was so padded and so cushy. Why would they even deal with any hardship? They wither under any kind of stress, and maybe that's why I stick with marketing and haven't become a founder really myself because I want money up front. I'm a consultant. I had a client that we're now working with asked me for net 30. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not working for you for 30 days and hoping you pay me later on when, especially he's self-funding. So he hasn't raised any money. So he could not have it. You never know. Um, because, I did have that cushy upbringing. I mean, I wasn't like wildly rich, but I grew up white in America. I didn't have in the Midwest. I didn't have any struggle at all. And so I'm pretty aware that, and even I think starting an agency is the easiest and lowest risk business you can start because I had already had a lot of success as a full-time employee. And I tell people that work for me this, like, work for me for a while. And then if you get an entrepreneurial streak, just copy what we do and go start your own agency. You won't lose money because you productize what you do as a full-time employee, and then people will pay you for it. And when I started with that company in Czech Republic. It was my first ever client was actually in Czech Republic 10 years ago for GrowthExpertz. Funny enough, I was like, we had an exit. I was like, what do I do? It was a 500 startups company. So it made a little bit of noise for me as a marketer. The company was basically pre-product. So it's almost actually all the PR stuff I just taught Rock how to do is how I drove the exit. We got so much noise in the travel industry that the founder started having conversations with bigger companies, and then it was an acqui-hire essentially. So first
Nice.
time founders often
Nice.
take the money too early. And this was an AI and machine learning startup way too early in the space. So we didn't raise enough to actually finish building it. So the marketing got it done. And I was really similar to you. I was like, well, I want to be mission driven. I don't want to just go pick a company because I need something to do. I want to really solve big problems. And then something came in my inbox as a consultant. And I was like, that's the same amount of money I made as a full-time employee. And I can actually pick and choose who I work with. And so an
And become a
entrepreneur was
nomad.
born. But I was an entrepreneur my whole life. Both my dad and my mom have never had jobs and started their own businesses young in retail, actually. And so I think representation is also important. Were your parents entrepreneurs, either one of them?
My dad was.
There you go. Whenever I meet an entrepreneur, I'm like, what'd your parents do? Because the apple doesn't fall that far
Yeah.
from the tree. It's not a requirement, but it makes it seem like it's attainable. Like, oh, I could do that. Or I saw my dad had a lot more freedom. I was lucky enough, and I talk about this a lot, and it has nothing to do with the podcast, but we're going there. My dad chose time over money very, very, when I was very young. I was 15 or something. I was like, Dad, why don't you open another store? And he's like, do you not see I'm picking you up from school right now? I'm the only dad at football practice. I'm the only dad that plays with his kids on the weekend. You want more money or more time? And we kind of struggled for a little bit because we didn't have enough money. But I look back and I'm like, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
And I feel like that as well. Like I could easily 10x the agency if I didn't want to only work with early stage startups, but I love what I do. And that's why 6 o'clock after a long day, I get to talk to guys like you and girls that are amazing founders all over the world. So anyway.
That's a good point because it correlates with another point that I don't know where I heard that. Everyone is going to die sooner than they think they're going to.
Yes.
So in that case,
do it. Just
you
do the
need-
fucking thing. Do the thing. Yeah. Because there's no risk. Actually, last quotable piece that I'll say is one thing I learned in San Francisco, and you know this as a founder, there's no such thing as failure. As long as you learn from it and you iterate and you get better for the next thing. So I don't know, out of the 4 or so companies you had, how many of them failed?
It depends how you define failure.
Well,
The
didn't
biggest
exit,
failure is
didn't.
they didn't scale as much as I wanted to. So my biggest failure was saying yes to an idea that wasn't scalable enough. So I realized that too
Mm,
late. So
okay.
then I sold it for some money. So I earned
No,
something.
no.
But
If you sold it, that's not allowed to be called a failure. You can't call an exit a failure.
yeah,
No,
it
no.
depends on
It's
your
a
standards. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's a failure in your mind because you know it was $1 billion thing and you're like, we should have gotten there. But a failure, so like I said, there's no such thing
Yeah,
as
like
failure.
bankruptcy.
Their
Yeah.
learning experiences are things that you think would go one way and it didn't, and then the project finished
Yeah. So I have
without.
2 great failures. I can call
Yeah,
it that.
yeah, and
Yeah,
you
sure.
know that's why VCs look for failures just as much as they look for exits, I
Yeah.
think, in San Francisco. Actually, not true. An exit is the greatest signal. The if you have an exit, the chances that you'll have an exit again are like 30% instead of like 0.001% the first time. So uh, that's why it's quite easy to raise money the second time. And like you said, it just gets more expensive for the equity because
Yeah.
so the more risk they take. But well, Marko, I think that's pretty much our time. It has been absolutely a joy. I don't think I've touched on more non-startup related topics on an interview with anybody in the past, but you're a really seasoned guy in the space, and I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom. So hopefully I was able to create some value for you and your team. Definitely get on Rock and tell him to listen to this and make him
Definitely did.
do the PR stuff. Thank you so much, and Havala.
Likewise
All right.
to you. And as an investor, try our app, especially after August when it's going to be like a global product. You can use it anywhere, even in the States.
I will
So more
absolutely.
for
I'm
it.
sure you're going to give me the $49 product for free at least. I'll pay the suppliers whatever they need, but and you can take the commission off of that, but I need something for free. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, I would be happy to check it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew.
That has been another episode of the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller, brought to you by GrowthExpertz. If you liked this episode, please subscribe. And if you really liked it, please share with other founders and entrepreneurs. Thanks. And we'll see you in the next episode.